When I say I spy, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Do you think of the common phrase you say to somebody to point something out? The Secret Agent Show from 1965 starring Robert Culp and Bill Cosby? Perhaps a song by Kyle and Lil Yachty that mashes up far too well with irate sins not tragedies comes up. Or maybe you think of these books. If you said the latter, you and I are on the same page. I Spy was a series of children's search and find books published by Scholastic in the 90s. The books were a collection of still-life photographs accompanied by short riddles that outlined the objects hidden within the picture. And you heard me right there, photographs. The scenes you're looking at right now were constructed by hand and then shot with a large format camera that allowed for lifelike amounts of detail. And we have one mind to thank for this imagery: the American photographer Walter White.
My name is Walter Wick. I am a photo illustrator, and I've been doing that for, I don't know how long, since 1991.
Walter Wick got his feet in the photo business doing commercial photography in New York City for companies like Games Magazine. One day, he decided to take a pic of the spare nuts and bolts he had lying around his studio as a promotional piece for his work. This piece happened to catch the interest of the children's author Jean Marzolo, who asked Wick if he'd like to do a poster for her magazine, Let's Find Out. The poster caught Scholastic's eye, and they approached the pair with an offer to make a series of search and find books aimed at children. Marzolo would handle the riddles, and Wick the photography. The rest is history. I Spy received copious amounts of praise from children and adults alike, earning numerous awards and nominations during its lifespan. I even went out to my local library and got to reread a few of the books. Wick's photography looks just as amazing as the day I first saw it, and as an adult, I can appreciate the effort Wick put into making these scenes far more than I did as a kid. It's no wonder these books were a success, and since they were so successful, merchandise would soon follow.
Merchandising! Where the real money from the movie is made.
Scholastic would make all kinds of merch for the series, including a stop-motion TV show in 2004, but if you know the sort of stuff I cover on this channel, you might know where I'm going with this. Let me paint a picture for you. You're a young codename Orion browsing your elementary school's annual Scholastic Book Fair. You just finished browsing the shelves filled with colorful and memorable pieces of juvenile literature and know there's one last place to go before you check out. The table in the back of the room loaded with knickknacks and CD-ROMs. And there you see it. I Spy the computer game. You can't believe your eyes. An interactive way of experiencing one of your favorite book series on the same system you've played countless hours of Neopets, Club Penguin, and Super Smash Flash on?
I'll take your entire stock!
The I Spy games kicked ass. Way more than they had any right to. The games were published by Scholastic and developed by Black Hammer Productions, a company known for working on a small variety of edutainment titles and having a company logo animation that triggers my nostalgia receptors to this very day. Black Hammer would develop 10 I Spy games for PC and Game Boy Advance, and play just how you'd expect. You're given an I Spy riddle and picture, and asked to find all the objects. Simple, to the point, and just as amazing to look at as the books they're based on. The scenes are mostly still-life photographs that have additional elements edited into them using Macromedia. Some of these still lifes are the exact same ones used in the I Spy books, just with more stuff going on in them to make the hidden object spotting more challenging. Wick and Marzolo are also credited as creative consultants in all of the titles, so Black Hammer wanted to make sure that these scenes were as authentic as possible. And I dare say they went above and beyond in some regards. Take this image of a ship's wheel, for example. Each of the spokes has an item that begins with the letter on the outside. Or take how the wording of this riddle not only describes what the player needs to find, but foreshadows the final confrontation of their adventure. I love details like this. And when I was replaying these games on my stream, I was looking for all sorts of them that I would have missed as a child. Though, I might have stumbled into something even greater than just a few Easter eggs. Playing through the games again made me realize something. They're all connected. Black Hammer built a tightly bound universe within their I Spy computer games, and I was too dumb as a child to not see it. I've grown to call this world they made the I Spy Connected Universe, or ICU for short. The ICU ranges across all of the games Black Hammer has made for PC, and the one exception made by Artec Studios. And while there's evidence for the ICU's existence in all of them, it's these 4 titles here, especially this one, that have any evidence worth talking about. And talk about it I will, but first I think I should explain each game in more detail so you can get the big picture. I decided to talk about the games in order from my most to least favorite, which funnily enough put I Spy Mystery at the end so it fits the pacing. Ready to have your mind blown? Then let's get this party started with I Spy Treasure Hunt. The game starts off with the player arriving in the town of Smuggler's Cove, a town with a rich history of being a hub for pirates in the days of old, and there are even rumors that some pirates hid their treasure somewhere in the area. You need to go about the locale solving I Spy riddles, and upon completing one, you are given a piece of a treasure map for one of 3 pirates depending on your playthrough: One-Eye Pete, A. Newman, or Mary Pierce. Once you have all pieces, you assemble the map and are presented with one final challenge that will lead you to their treasure. Treasure Hunt is my favorite title because of how realistic it feels to explore Smuggler's Cove. Walter Wick stated in an aside at the end of the I Spy Treasure Hunt book how he wanted to try something different for the book's scenes, and opted into creating a miniature village instead of individual still lifes. This is the exact reason why Smuggler's Cove feels so real, and Black Hammer only expanded upon Wick's creation by adding more locations like an ice cream shop, general store, pirate museum, and even a clubhouse for the Treasure Hunt Club. There's also fantastic examples of environmental storytelling in each scene, with all 3 pirates' stories being shown to you before you get to the nitty-gritty during their final challenge. Take One-Eye Pete for example. You learn that he used to sail on the ship Old Thunder. This is the same ship that you find in the painting within the lighthouse, and you're even tasked with spying Pete escaping the wreckage on a rowboat.
A single survivor who's rowing to shore.
His fate is also ambiguous, as the final message he leaves you with his treasure implies that his treasure is safe, but not him. Looking at his dungeon cell, you can make a guess that he escaped after 10 years and was on the run from the Smuggler's Cove guard, or that he was sentenced to be hanged for his crimes from a line in the final challenge.
Know what will happen if I don't break loose? 1 stone belongs on the knot of a noose.
Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that they casually bring up nooses in this game? Y'all might have learned what a noose was from Thousand Year Door. I learned what it was from I Spy Treasure Hunt, baby! A. Newman is the second pirate you go after, and he retired from the pirate life to become a boat builder in Smuggler's Cove. His boat building shop is exactly where you find his treasure, A. Newman and Sons, the name implying that he got married and had a kid. Mary Pierce is last, and she's the coolest of the 3 pirates by far. I mean, does One-Eye Pete have a whole section of the pirate museum devoted to him? I thought not. It's pretty obvious that she's a woman who disguised herself to be a man, but hearing this come from Pierce herself in the form of a note at her treasure hoard really stands out to me.
No one knows I'm a woman. On deck, I'm called Pierce. With my mustache and sword, I'm disguised and I'm fierce. There's nothing that's grander than life on the sea. So as long as I'm living, a pirate I'll be.
I wanted to highlight just how detailed these games are when you look at them beyond surface level. The stories Black Hammer made for these pirates are totally believable and are supported by the setting they created. What I'm getting at is, if the devs can make storytelling this good, they're completely capable of making a connected universe between all of their titles. We'll be back to talk about how this connects to the ICU later, but keep One-Eye Pete's story on hand as we go forward, because now we gotta talk about I Spy Spooky Mansion Deluxe. As the name suggests, this is a deluxe re-release of I Spy Spooky Mansion, adding 2 new campaigns alongside a remaster of the original one. Wow. First they're out here making a connected universe, and now they're making better versions of already great games by adding deluxe to the title. Black Hammer was really ahead of their time. The game starts when the owner of the titular mansion, a skeleton named Skeleton, invites the player in to play a game with him.
Enter if you dare. You're in for a scare.
Upon entering the mansion, the door shuts behind you and Skeleton tells you how to play. Solve the I Spy riddles throughout the house and earn puzzle pieces to unlock a secret message in the picture frame at the front door. When you have all the pieces, the message tells you of a secret room you can access by pulling a few books on the bookshelf in Skeleton's library. Skeleton commends you for finding his study and lets you out through the window. Once outside, though, he invites you in for another game. This time around, he wants you to make shrinking soup to escape through a mouse hole right next to the front door. After some more riddles, you stock up his kitchen and get cooking. Though it's kinda funny that in order to make shrinking soup you only need like 6 ingredients. Skeleton had you solve 9 extra riddles just to keep you in his house longer. Crafty bastard. Must have more than one funny bone in him. Either way, you make the meal and make it out of the house via the mouse hole. Skeleton's not done yet, though. He invites you just one last time to play again and repair his elusive ghost machine. The I Spy riddles grant you parts of the ghost machine, and when it's fully operational, Skeleton lets you take the wheel in making some ghosts that I can only describe as too spooky for me. The final ghost you make is Get Out, whose materials consist of all the previous ghosts you've made, and Skeleton himself. Once Get Out is made, they carry you through the mansion's chimney, and you've won the game.
Through a window, mouse hole, and chimney you've gone. This spooky night is ending. It's almost dawn. The time has come to say goodbye. You've mastered this game of Spooky I Spy.
Spooky Mansion Deluxe has a totally different vibe to it than Treasure Hunt does. Instead of a grand adventure for pirate treasure, you're playing an escape game with a friendly skeleton. It's kind of comparable to an escape room now that I think about it, and we all know how popular those have gotten over the years. The scenes in the game are awesome too, truly capturing a spooky vibe fit for the youngsters who would be playing. One great detail is how Skeleton is present in most of the scenes, ready to give you your reward when the riddle is solved. Not only is this an homage to how the Skeleton character from I Spy Spooky Night would be in multiple photographs, but I also feel like he's a comfort character to reassure the player that they aren't going to get scared by anything in the game. But hey! That's just a theory! Speaking of theories, Spooky Mansion Deluxe plays a key role in bringing the ICU together, mainly through the existence of Skeleton and his ghost machine. It might be hard to see how a seaside town like Smuggler's Cove can be in the same world as a mansion filled with supernatural entities, but it's all there in I Spy Mystery, and I'll tell you how they can coexist once we're done with I Spy Fantasy. This game takes place in a child's bedroom, where 3 different adventures can be accessed from the set pieces in the room. The dragon brings you to a sandcastle where you learn that a company of knights is attempting to rescue their captured princess.
I'm here! Earn all 6 keys to open the gate and set me free!
You go about the castle gathering keys by solving I Spy riddles, and once you unlock the gate...
Watch out! You've got to defeat this dragon! Use the scroll in the wizard's room to make a magic potion.
Making the potion is the final challenge of this section. In subsequent playthroughs have you gather different ingredients to change exactly what the potion does to the dragon. These effects include shrinking him to the size of a mouse, turning his fiery breath into bubbles, or straight up murder.
Start. I don't feel so good.
Adventure number 2 occurs in the fish tank, where you're taken under the sea with a friendly mermaid who wants to play a little game with you.
There's treasure in the deep blue sea. To find it, read my book.
You traverse the seafloor solving riddles and collecting pieces of the mermaid's book, which, when complete, tells you what animals you need to find that will lead you to her treasure. This one was my favorite of the fantasy adventures because I had a big thing for animals as a kid. The scenes here are bursting with life too, and the cave's glow-in-the-dark gimmick really sticks out from the other puzzles in the series. I also might like it because it's pretty reminiscent of I Spy Treasure Hunt. I wonder why. The final adventure takes place in outer space! You take the role of a spaceship commander on Planet Phase, where you need to collect fuel crystals in order to power your rocket. Once you have 6 and attempt to blast off, your ship's AI informs you that there's an error.
Error detected. Error detected. Commander, there is a problem with the circuit board. Please investigate. To fix this circuit board, you'll need to find the missing parts.
You do one more lap of the planet and gather up the items you need, pop them into the circuit board, and off you go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off!
Environmental storytelling returns in this adventure, primarily with the aliens that live on these. One of the scenes hosts an anatomy chart with observations made on their behavior, which you can see for yourself in the cave scene. The notes also list them as being 15 inches tall, and judging by how large they are in this set piece, it makes you question how big your character is. Also, this is pretty unrelated, But don't the fuel crystals look tasty? I remember always wanting to eat them as a kid, thinking they'd taste like Jolly Ranchers or something. Overall, I think I Spy Fantasy is a bit less impressive than the other titles in the series. Black Hammer seems to have taken a quantity over quality approach with this game. That's not to say these scenes and riddles aren't well made. I'm just more of a fan of a larger, connected experience than a few smaller ones. On that note, however, we can finally talk about the game that brings all of the past three together. I Spy Mystery. This is the last I Spy game that Black Hammer worked on, and they sort of dropped the ball on this release. Let me explain. You're presented with 13 case files for different mysteries that need to be solved. You need to solve the I Spy riddles in each file before you get to solve the mystery. No item collecting, no overarching storyline, just riddle solving. You also probably noticed that the scenes I've been showing are from previous titles in the series. That's because I Spy Mystery is sort of a best of compilation. Kinda like WarioWare Gold or Rhythm Heaven Megamix, though nowhere near that level of quality. Riddles and scenes from Treasure Hunt, Spooky Mansion Deluxe, and Fantasy are brought over verbatim, and any new scenes exist in the form of edits to existing ones, which range in quality from okay to wow, that looks bad. The payoffs aren't great either. Take the mystery Nightfall, for example.
Find the knight that is about to fall. He wears yellow, not red, and stands on a wall.
A good majority of the mysteries are just as insignificant as this one. What fish is the fisherman trying to catch? How did Old Thunder sink? What's cooking in the kitchen? It's a real downgrade from the games prior, if you ask me. I don't hate the game, and I played it a bunch as a kid, but looking back at it as an adult, it doesn't have the same charm and feel as the other games. But there is one thing that this game has going for it, and that's being the backbone of the ICU. The majority of I Spy Mystery's mysteries might be of little importance, but there are a select few that cement the fact that the ICU is real. Take Four Letters, for example. The Four Letters describe 4 different sightings of a mysterious woman off the coast of Smuggler's Cove. One of the letters you find is in the sunken ship from I Spy Fantasy, and appears to be from the ship's watchman. Listen to these last few lines. Alas, as I spent the better part of the afternoon searching the waves to catch sight of her again, I failed to notice the gathering storm clouds. I must warn the crew. The sunken ship from I Spy Fantasy is Old Thunder. This also establishes that the events of I Spy Fantasy were indeed fact, not fiction. This is backed by the fact that the mermaid's book states how her treasure came from the sunken ship, and numerous divers have come to search for it to no avail. Whether the mermaid distracted the watchman on purpose or not is up for debate, but I think there's somebody else we can place the blame on here. Get your tinfoil hats ready, it's about to get weird. The mystery Skeleton's Books leads you to Skeleton's favorite book, Famous Skeletons in History by B.A. Fraide. This establishes that Skeleton isn't the only sentient bag of bones to grace the ICU, and how he strives to become one of the greats himself. Being the inventive soul he is, he built the ghost machine, though it was never originally designed to make ghosts. Tell me, do these ghosts resemble anything to you? Did you say clouds? The mystery broken machine has you repairing the ghost machine, but when you turn it on, the machine creates a variety of weather conditions in the workshop instead of ghosts. This was the original purpose of the machine, to create the weather. Skeleton thought this was his big break, until some of the storms he had created escaped his workshop and wreaked havoc on the outside world. What did one of these storms do? Oh, nothing big. Just cause Old Thunder to sink to the ocean floor. Mind blown. It's possible that one of his storms could have hit a mainline city as well, causing record-breaking amounts of damage if we interpret this scene from Block City in I Spy School Days as a historical recreation of an actual event by the children. Skeleton, distraught over the damage he's caused and realizing his violation of Section 330A of Title 15 of the United States Code, retires the machine and repurposes it to make harmless ghosts instead. It's incredible that Black Hammer was able to craft such a wonderful cautionary tale across multiple hidden object games from the late 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, right, like that was ever their original intention. There's no way this is Skeleton's actual story. The animations were probably changed to avoid any spook factor being present in I Spy Mystery. Whether or not Black Hammer intended to connect all of the I Spy games with Mystery's release is up for debate, though. The connections could have been made to accommodate for reusing old scenes from the games, or as a means to set up an I Spy connected universe like I've been rambling about. Even if I'm spouting nonsense, thinking about how these scenes were made is something Walter Wick wanted his pictures in the I Spy books to do.
One of the primary things I want to have happen when children read my books and play the game and solve the puzzles, I want them to have a sense of wonder about how these things might have been created. You know, they understand that they're photographs, so they have to then think about, well, what is it a photograph of?
And hey, thinking up a batshit way of connecting the tie-in games via conspiracy theory is a little like that, huh? I hope my overview of the I Spy games was in some form entertaining, whether as a trip down memory lane, or as the weirdest way to introduce you to the works of Walter Wick. Thanks for watching, I am Codename Orion, and as always, keep it real.
Codename Orion.
A seasick pill. Ugh.